Hi everybody, this is Lee from King Harvest and kingharvest.org, and I just wanted to take a couple minutes today to talk about PTSD, veterans, people who have served our country, and post-traumatic stress disorder. So many people in our society, in our community these days have PTSD, and most of the time we think about it coming from combat veterans, shell shock, that kind of stuff. But in fact, many people, many areas of the population have PTSD, and it can be diagnosed across all walks of life. It can come from loss, tragedy, grief, car accidents, violence, being the victim of a crime. It can occur just in loss in general. And obviously the most acute form of that we would see in our culture and our society would be for a veteran. So a lot of these veterans are suffering and have been suffering for a very long time. And so what we want to do is we want to offer a special. So right now, the first 100 veterans that come through King Harvest will get a free bottle of medicine on the house, as long as they're the ID carrying member and they have a California state recommendation from a doctor. We're happy to furnish them with some free medicine to see if their symptoms can be alleviated. So is marijuana or cannabis oil useful for treating these types of symptoms? Yes, unequivocally yes. Many veterans, I myself am not a veteran, but I have been through a lot in life, and I suffer from night terrors. A lot of emotional stuff can creep up on you in the middle of the night when you've gone through a lot of combat and these kinds of things. It takes the form of suicidality, depression, homicidality. A lot of times, there's night terrors. People will wake up in the middle of the night completely disoriented, not knowing where they are. The cannabis oil medicines will, upon the point of first ingestion, in many cases, if not most of the cases, relieve a lot of these symptoms. So the uplift or sativa oil during the day will take a man who is suffering from depression, and it'll help him get on top of things. He'll be able to go back to work without being high. He'll be able to feel good without having all the lows, and also without having all the extreme highs. So the daytime oil or a sativa-based oil, depending on the severity of symptoms, is going to give typically a man a lot of energy during the day, a lot of pain relief, and a lot of depression relief. It'll take somebody that knows they should go for a walk and get them to actually want to. Now, indica will be very useful for a veteran at night because it'll help you sleep through the night. We see that from the point of first ingestion, in most cases, a veteran will stop the homicidality, the crazy night terrors, all the dreams and stuff like that, and they will actually get through the night being able to sleep normally. And if they do wake up, they're able to go back to sleep normally. A lot of times we take pharmaceuticals, and many of the veterans have been suffering for a very long time. And so we've gone back to the doctors, and doctors will give us opiates and antidepressants and all kinds of pharmacology. But in truth, that stuff is only masking it, as you all know, right? And it is actually cannabis oils that can naturally and safely mitigate those symptoms. And in a lot of cases, if you introduce the CBD too, an AC/DC-based CBD, then you're able to go a long way for actually correcting the problem. We have veterans that report being on the medicines for a few months, and then after a few weeks or months being off of them, and still having had the ability to forget the things that they couldn't forget and move past the things that they couldn't move on from, that kind of thing. So can medical marijuana replace opiates? Yes, it can replace naturally and safely replace any, if not all, pharmacology, unless you're taking pharmacology for some kind of congenital defect, like a heart problem or something like that. It also, obviously, it would be beneficial for chronic pain. It's a wonderful alternative for somebody who has, say, shrapnel or suffered an injury, amputation, even a psychiatric wounding that's lingering because of a trauma during battle. That kind of stuff can alter and reduce the quality of one's life. cannabis oils can allow you to simply forget, and not just for a time, but forget permanently these things that have happened to us. When we get traumatized, we become rigid, and the cannabis oils can allow us to become more plastic, and then thus leave a lot of those symptoms behind. If you're rigid and you're locked down, you're not going to let go of anything, and so cannabis oils will give you that ability. If you smoke, smoking cannabis, that kind of stuff is going to give you some relief, but it's not really comparable compared to the deep systemic relief that you get from the inside out from this kind of stuff. Can medical marijuana exacerbate mental health issues such as anxiety or depression? Absolutely. So if you're somebody that has a problem that's you're running too fast, right? If your brain and your emotions want to run too fast, you're not going to want to take a stimulating form of THC. You're going to want to take something that's sedating and is going to calm you down. If you're somebody that runs too fast and you do take a stimulating form of THC, then you're probably going to be running uncomfortably fast. If you took some medicine to slow down and you ended up going faster, that is counterproductive. If you are somebody that is super depressive, right, and you are lethargic and you have a hard time finding the energy or the interest in getting around, then indicas probably aren't going to be for you, because those will create couch lock, whereas it may make watching that movie for the 6th time super entertaining. It's not really good for somebody that needs physical therapy and should be up and around and should be moving and doing all that stuff. So yes, it can exacerbate some psycho-emotional feelings and emotions, but it doesn't contraindicate with any Western medicine. So it doesn't actually have any dangerous interactions. They're just, if you're feeling anxious, it can make you feel a little more anxious if you take the wrong kind, and vice versa. Which of KH's products can help with anxiety, and how much should I take? So as applied to anxiety, most people would want indica, right? The indica bottle will slow you down. Our medicines come from a strain known as Hindu Kush. It's very stable. It's very pleasant. It's very pleasing. Makes you feel very good. Very calming, and it's lightly euphoric, not a real heavy-duty indica. It'll take somebody that just has an edge on them, and it'll just help take the edge off. As a result, just taking the edge off and taking enough medicine to feel better is a good thing, as opposed to if you're taking pharmaceuticals where you're taking a medicine to feel differently or feel nothing at all. Pharmaceuticals, when applied to emotional stuff, don't really seem to, the same way with physical, but they don't really seem to make anything get any better. The other benefit of cannabis oil is that there's no way to overdose. So if you are somebody that takes a lot of pain medication over time, i.e. if you have an amputation and you have some muscle memory or some ghost pain, and you're going to be taking these heavy-duty opiates for a long period of time, if you introduce cannabis oils in there, you can take a lot less medicine, a lot less of the opiates, Norco, opium, that kind of stuff, morphines. And in many cases, once you get on top of that pain, you can leave all of that pharmacology behind. Obviously, it's nice to feel better, but you wouldn't want to feel better if you're only going to be turned into an addict, or there's just a different form of problems. So cannabis oils, you cannot overdose. They're not a respiratory suppressant. They're not a nervous system suppressant. They won't stop your heart. They're perfectly safe. And if one was to accidentally overdose, it's really just a matter of feeling sleepy for a number of hours and just waiting for it to go away. So anyway, my name is Lee, and we are kingharvest.org. From myself and all of us at our organization, we want to thank you for taking the time to watch our video. Please go ahead and leave any comments or suggestions or even personal history in the subject field below. And if you want to give us a call, we're at 877-469-4584, or you can always reach us at kingharvest.org. Once again, my name is Lee, and happy healing.